It's Melanie here with Vintage Hill Studio. I'm so glad you dropped by. Today I'm transforming a black and white image from an old book page into a fabulous watercolor to be used for this handmade card. You know I love my old books. So I am starting with the Zig Real Brush colors here and a water pen and a little piece of tile, and then my old book. Now, you know I will not deconstruct a good book, but you can see this has got some damage. It is destined to be going into the landfill, so I don't have any trouble pulling out some pages for my art projects. Now, I went through and looked at a few of these images, and this is what sparked the idea to do some watercolor. And this is on some very old, like, cotton paper. So you know that cotton really works well with the watercolor. What I was looking for is something that didn't have too much dark space in it like that. I want something that's open and light and would allow me to add several colors. So that's what I was kind of going for here. Now you can see when it's really, really dark, I mean, it's going to show some shadows and stuff, but you're not going to get very vibrant colors. So kind of look at that as you're going through your images. You can see I've earmarked a few of these, and this is the one I chose to go with, this man and woman riding their horses out in the hills here. And I kind of get hung up on the storyline on the page. So I try to be cognizant about what's being told as far as what's happening with this picture, and go with that. I know you really need to concentrate on one thing, but I'm like here and there all over the place. So I just scribble a little bit of color on that white tile over there to my right, and that gives me an idea of what the true color is going to be. Now you can see there's a lot of shadow on the gentleman's face because of his hat. So the skin tone's not going to really show up too well on him, but that's okay. Then I grab a little bit of color with my water brush, and this just gives me a light wash of that color. And you can add as much or as little as you need on your tile and bring it on over. And then to deepen it up, just go directly onto the image with your real brush. I use this for the little crevices and any of the shading and shadowing, just to give it a little more depth of color. Now on this gentleman's shirt, I chose to go with a red because it reminded me of John Wayne. You know, he's always wearing that reddish, orangish shirt. I don't know what color you would call it. But anyway, I just watched a John Wayne movie the other day, and I like that red shirt. It speaks to me and says that's John Wayne. So I decided to use that for my little cowboy shirt here on this project this week. Love John Wayne. Okay, so you just go through and pick the colors you like, and you can see how tiny and detailed these drawings are on the book page. So if you're going to use something like these Zig colors here, you can see how fine the tip is. It's like a brush tip on the end of these pens. I'll call them pens or markers. They're not really ink. They are really watercolor. And you need that fine, fine tip for a lot of these details. So I'm just going to speed up the coloring here and let you watch as this unfolds. Now I will say the other medium that I would be comfortable using for this small of detailed images would be probably the watercolor pencils and the water brush. I think those would lend themselves very well to coloring in these images. Anyway, I wanted to share this with you because I thought it was a really cool idea. It's kind of like a coloring book, but it's not a coloring book, it's a novel. This one happened to be The Virginian, which is, I think, was published in the 1920s. And just has some really cool artwork in here, so I thought, why not? If I'm going to repurpose some book pages, why not choose some of them that actually have a drawing or print to them? If you followed me for any amount of time, you know that I love to think outside of the box and do something a little different, bring something a little different to you in my weekly card making tutorials. And so I hope, you know, to inspire people to maybe look at some of the things they have lying around, or if you're going to a yard sale or a rummage sale and somebody's throwing out books, or, you know, they're really inexpensive, grab some up and use your imagination, see what you can come up with. I love the idea of coming up with unique ideas. I guess you shouldn't use that same word in one sentence, but anyway, something unique for creativity. And the more I think outside of the box, the happier I am with the outcome. So do take a look at what you've got lying around and see if there's other ways to repurpose some of your materials. There is some satisfaction into taking something old and destined for the trash and repurposing it into something useful that it can also be considered art. I love to do that, and also with the art of creating cards, not only are you creating something for the person who purchases it or receives it, but you're also creating something for the end user, the person that ultimately ends up with this card. So much fun. Okay, you can see I've sped this up quite a bit. I'm not going to bore you with all the minute details of going through this. This video is a little longer than my usual videos, but I wanted to share this process with you. And you can see as I scribble off over there to the right, I am sticking to some basic colors. And when you come back with your water brush, you can use that exact same color and come up with all kinds of different variations, from the lights to the darks. You've got your shadows and highlights just by adding water to the watercolor that you're leaving on the tile over there. Now the great thing about this tile is that when I'm done, I just simply wipe it with a damp paper cloth and it's ready for the next project. So you can see I'm kind of creating a little arched hill behind the riders, going up between the horse's legs and down on each side to give them a little more depth and make the horses look like they're out in the forefront. And of course, no Western scene would be complete without a ride off into the lovely sunset. We have some beautiful sunsets here in Texas with all kinds of colors. So I thought I would add that here in the background. Of course, I'm creating my own sunset here with just a wash of color. I didn't want anything really heavy here in the background. I want it to be very light and airy, and that's why I'm going right from the water brush to the paper instead of the marker directly on the paper in the background. So I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to make it very light and airy with just a hint of the sun going down here in the background. Hey, as you're watching me go through and finish up this thing, I hope that you will consider becoming a subscriber. I would love to have you come back and visit with all my other friends every week. I try to post a weekly card making video, and as you can see, I branch out into all kinds of mediums here, hoping to inspire other people, but in the meantime, I'm just having a great deal of fun all by myself. Creating just brings me so much joy, and I love to share that with you. So if you look down here and subscribe, if you're looking from your phone, it's going to be next to the name Vintage Hill Studio. If you just scroll down below this video, if you're looking from your laptop, I have a little red subscribe button over here in the right-hand corner. And then if you will ring that notification bell on YouTube, you'll be notified when I post new videos. So I hope to see you come back as well. The crafting world is filled with so many wonderful and talented people. I just love being a part of this community, and I would love for us to become friends here. If you have anything you'd like to share with me, please feel free to leave a comment. I'd love to have a thumbs up. If you want to see me try any new mediums, send me a note about that as well. But I'm so glad you dropped by today and that you're watching this process. And again, hopefully you can find a few old books to work from too. I can guarantee that whoever receives this finished card will know that they have a unique piece of art that you're not going to find anywhere else. So it's not a run-of-the-mill die set or stamp set or anything like that. It is a watercolored image from an old book. Again, all the supplies and dimensions related to this card can be found on my YouTube channel. Just scroll down below the picture here and you will see a little blurb about the description, and then I'll have all of the dimensions and supplies listed there for your convenience. This is one of the best tools I have ever purchased. This is a Cutterpillar Pro. It is a rotary paper cutter, and it actually sharpens the blade every time you go back and forth cutting. You can see it's a rotary wheel, and then it's got this great light bar. Can you see how that allows me to see right through the paper so I can determine where I need to cut? Is very precise and just a wonderful tool. And I found that at a Great American Scrapbooking Convention, so that's where I bought it, was actually at a scrapbooking convention. Now I'm going to just go around the edges very quickly using my finger dauber and a little bit of distress ink to kind of frame up my composition here. So without really using another piece of paper, because I'm already using a couple of mats over there, I'm just going to frame this up, and it kind of ages it a little bit just simply by adding a little distress ink. Okay, you can see how this is going to go together there with my mats, and then I'll bring over a little clear stamp that says Happy Trails. I thought this was perfect for this card since they are riding off into the sunset that I created, and I want to give them a Happy Trails sentiment on the front. This is actually going to be a birthday card. It could be feminine or masculine card, and I just wanted to keep it very succinct with the theme of the card of what's going on in the outside there. So as a means of coordinating this with the card front, I'm going around the edges with the same ink that I went around my composition mat there of the old book page. That's just going to tie everything together nice and neatly. Then once I figure out my placement, I will punch a couple of little holes in my die cut image here using my 2-in-1 and a little foam mat, and I'm going to stick some brads on there, which I think is a nice finishing touch for this Western card. And get those positioned down, and then I'll add a little liquid adhesive and get that put down on the front of my card. This was so much fun to work on, y'all. I really, really, really love old books. I guess because I love books in general. I really do. I have a great appreciation for the kind of book that you actually have to turn the pages with your fingers. So I loved working on this. I think it came out really nice. Again, it's going to be a very unique card for some lucky recipient. Thank you so much for coming by this week. I hope that you will subscribe. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. So happy to see you every week. And again, I hope you got inspired by this little project and maybe you would want to give it a try yourself. And I hope you'll come back and visit me real soon. Again, feel free to leave me comments, subscribe, hit the little bell for notifications. I'll see you again next week. Happy crafting, everyone!